most brands are linking out to their blog, but not linking to their other places on the social network triad. And if you do that, if you start linking between the social networks, I'm finding I'm getting more engagement on all three. I'm getting more retweets, I'm getting more traffic to my blog, I'm getting more Facebook engagement, and I'm getting more Google Plus engagement. It also sets your brand apart because you're showing that you understand how to use all three social media pieces together along with a brand. And some people will have friends who are on Facebook but won't join Google Plus. Some people are on Google Plus and they hate Facebook and they won't join Facebook. And some people think Twitter is the end-all and be-all, and they won't leave Twitter for anything. And so by using the three together to link back and forth, you'll grab each of the three audiences and make it a more powerful whole. The brands, let's just look at brands for just a second. So I'm following about 100 brands, including journalism, NASA, TechCrunch, Lifehacker, Fox News. Let's see if there's some
Robert, can I
everyday.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So when you say that you're following brands, now you're talking about Google Plus business pages, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So Lifehacker, for instance, right now has created. Go ahead.
Sorry, Robert. Could you talk a little bit as you're taking a look at these pages about the differences between, it was just individuals and recently there's been this Google Plus business launch, which, we all read your piece as part of our homework. Thank you so much.
Oh, cool. No problem. So there's, let me just go over to my brand page so you can see the difference. So along the left side here, I can manage myself, which is a person, right? Robert Scoble. And I can manage a brand page, which will be like Rackspace or Coca-Cola or whoever you work for. And the brand pages can have its own followers. So I've followed, like Glenn Campbell is a coworker and Tiffany's my boss. And I'm going to start following more people. Lionel works at Dell, for instance. And where do I go with this? So it has its own inbound. It has its own photo pages. It has its own profile and its own posts. So here's the few posts I've made on the Rackspace hosting page. You can see that it has its own engagement. It has its own followers and its own circles, and it has things where you can like the page or like the brand or share this page, and it has its own circle management. By the way, I didn't show you all the cool circle management stuff. So in circles, once you get a few people in circles, let's say Lionel you want to put into the VIP circle, you just drag and drop him, and now he'll be, or let's do that with John Ingates. Now he'll be added into that page, into that circle. I'm sorry. So that it's lots of fun to categorize people and say, oh, that person belongs in this circle, or a customer should go into our customer circle, or you could come up with new circles like this team, the marketing team can have a circle, and the PR team can have another circle, and the engineering team can have another circle, and so on and so forth. These will get more powerful when you can get multiple people from your company to do one of these. Right now, only one person can manage a brand page, and it's somewhat frustrating, as you read in my, well, it's a lot frustrating if you read my homework project. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. Any thoughts on sort of best practices for using Google Plus brand pages now, business pages?
Yeah, my favorite brand is Red Bull. And it's my favorite example to use for a couple reasons. One, the product itself sucks, and I hope nobody from Red Bull is listening, but I think they would admit that Red Bull. If I gave you Red Bull, 8 years ago, before it was a brand and before it had this thing in your head, you would have spit it out and said, "This is crappy tasting. It doesn't taste very good. It's not Diet Coke. What are you trying to serve me at this party, Scoble?" And it's sugar water, and it doesn't have very many redeeming qualities about it. So you can't sell the product. You can't say, oh, this will cure cancer or this will, make you healthier. So what have they done? They've built a whole story around the brand. You never see the product, discussed very often. They have can once in a while, but almost always they have really cool people who are jumping off cliffs or, surfing big waves or doing really wild skydiving, that kind of thing. And they've created a story in your head about, oh, Red Bull, if I drink Red Bull and let's say I'm a Boeing worker working in a cube farm that's all gray and, I feel a little boring today. I'm going to drink some Red Bull, and now it's going to take my head back to when I was 18 years old and I could jump off cliffs, and I'm now youthful and energetic, and I'm a risk taker, and they've stuffed a whole bunch of stuff in your head. They're telling stories through social media, in other words, and that's the real crack for Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, and even LinkedIn. LinkedIn, though, I think is a little bit different. If you can get your customers to spread these stories and tell their own stories, that's really, really powerful. I mean, one of my favorite Facebook pages is the Gopro page. Let me see if I can find that real fast. Because GoPro is this little camera, $300 camera, and people around the world put up pictures on the Gopro page with their product. Now they have an unfair advantage. Their product takes pictures and takes really high quality video, and it's waterproof, so you can put it on your surfboard and stuff. But that's the ultimate in terms of social media, where your customers are telling your story on behalf of you, and that's my goal. When I go around, we're trying to create media for my boring little brand, which is a web hosting company called Rackspace, which is the world's largest web hosting company. But we're trying to put stories in your head of, oh, this is a high service company. This is a company that's on the bleeding edge. This is a company that's available. This is a company that has great service. And we're trying to put into play a conversation about our industry where we're included in that conversation. And that's pretty advanced. Not too many companies are doing that very well. I've shown you a couple of really, really bleeding edge and awesome examples.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I have a lot of questions about trying to decide how to balance your resources if you want to do both Google Plus and Facebook brand pages. Yep. And also with Facebook timeline coming out, what's the competition going to be like? So could you give us sort of a balance on that?
Well, that's why I have 3 big screens in front of me. And by the way, that has made me much more productive. That you can get TweetDeck on one screen, or get all these web browsers in front of you, and now you can. It's not about taking time for one to the next. You're using both of them at the same time, and in fact, you can post to both really, really quickly. And better yet, I can see patterns. Like right now, I'm seeing NextWeb just is posting something, and I can see a pattern popping up that will become media on the other networks and allow me to talk to my customers and my users in a new way and talk to them faster than other people who only have one screen in front of them. And that turns into brand. It turns into the story I'm trying to tell. And your story might not be speed on news. It might be something else. But I certainly love this new system. It costs about $6,000. It's a brand new iMac with 2 24-inch Apple monitors. It's a little pricey. It's $6,000, but it's something to try to beg the boss to get you.
Sure, makes sense. Do you have any sense of the demographics of who's using Google Plus? Is it mostly tech people, journalists, as Paul says, lepidopterists? Who's on it? It's started spreading outside the tech world, but skittishly.
photographers, for instance, took to this immediately, and now there's thousands and thousands of pro-level photographers on here. There's so many photographers now, I can't follow them all anymore. I'm seeing artists. There's a good art community. There's a good design community. But I haven't looked outside. I haven't looked too much for other communities that are on here. The search engine will tell you whether the community you care about is on here yet. And I would just start searching. So let's just try something fun. You know, plumbers. Let's see if we can find.
See how many plumbers we can find. Awesome.
There are some plumbers. Plumberstock.com. There's some plumbing brands out there already. So you can tell that this is starting to move outside just the geek community, and very quickly you can do some searches and see what is coming into the system. I have a feeling this is where Google is really going, is to become an interest network, an interest graph. Facebook has the social graph, and I don't think anybody's going to touch that. Facebook is way ahead. Their leadership is better. Their engineering is better. And their understanding of social and their integration into everything. For instance, if you go to the Etsy.com page, I don't know how many people have been there, but it's an e-commerce store that sells all sorts of crafts. They've built Facebook into that craft page. And now if you want to see what gifts you should buy me for Christmas, and thank you very much, it'll show you exactly what you should buy me because it pulled in my Facebook likes into that page, and it's using my social behavior that I've collected other places to tell you what kinds of gifts you should buy me. And same thing with you, right? That kind of behavior, and that's where when Google says they're an identity system or an identity network, that's what they mean. That they're having to compete with that, with Facebook understanding everything about everything, and Facebook's building a new media company, and Facebook's threatening Google because Google is the old intent satisfaction machine, right? If we want to go to lunch today, we'll type something in like sushi San Francisco and see where it recommends us to go. The new world is we go to Facebook and we ask our friends, where should we go for sushi in San Francisco? And if you have a decent social graph, you'll get an answer in a minute or two. And so Facebook could build a search engine just like Etsy did, this micro search engine that has the social behavior built into it that could really, really threaten Google's advertising model and search model. Anyways, people are asking questions. So let me actually turn off the web page for a second, because that way I'll get to see everybody's questions.
Oh, that's cool.
Ask.
We're just going to get ready to wrap up. We're going to take one or two last quickies. Quick question about Hangouts. How many people can be in a Hangout on a brand page, and any particular good brand Hangouts that you know of?
I haven't seen a good brand Hangout other than Google yet, but there'll be some. That's a good question, because Google brand pages can have up to 20 people, so you and 19 other people in a brand Hangout. In a personal Hangout, you can only have 10 people, you and 9 other people. Except if you know how to do it and have the equipment, you can record that Hangout and stream it live out to like Ustream.tv. Or if you have YouTube is working on live accounts. If you have a YouTube live account, you can stream it out to YouTube, and that lets you do really crazy stuff. I've seen Hangouts with will.i.am of the Black Eyed Peas, for instance. In fact, he had a little hangout with 9 people, and they rotated people in so that they could get more people in there and let them have a little short interview with him. And then he went on stage, and they just left the cameras up, and you were able to watch the concert that he filmed in New York. And that was fun. Most people could only watch it; they couldn't participate. But the 9 people who got to participate, that became a big deal for them, and they all, of course, talked about it. I said, "Holy shit! I'm on the Hangout with will.i.am. Come and watch." And that helped this conversation spread throughout Google Plus and other places.
So Everybody, thank you so much for being with us these 8 weeks. Robert, it was wonderful to have you be our last speaker because you really synthesized things so much for us, showed us all these different platforms and how they work well together.